Welcome everybody to the first episode of Partho. Could you hear me? Oh, Molly is frozen and... Oh, there she is.
There I am. Yay!
Hi.
Hi,
So
everyone.
it seems like there's already quite a few people here, which is really exciting. I see lots of friends in the chat. Adam's joking that the women are late, but it's because Steven wouldn't send us backstage.
It's the man's fault.
But that if I admit that, then everybody knows that he's running the show in the background. So I was gonna keep that quiet. But yeah, so welcome to Partho. If everybody here, I'm Courtney with Leviathan Snakes.
I'm Molly with Chimera.
And yeah, we're going to be interviewing Bob Bledsoe of Green Room Pythons today. And if you don't know Bob, he's a really cool guy. He's got an awesome YouTube channel. He does a lot of cool stuff. He's got a lot of really cool animals. And he has recently gotten back from Surinam. So we're going to be talking to him about all of that. And I think it'd be great to just go ahead and jump right in and bring him into the show.
Hey, I'm in.
Hey, hi, Bob, how are you doing?
Hi there. So good to see you. Congratulations on the new podcast. This is fantastic.
Thank you. We're really excited.
I was gonna say, this was like a whim of a show that like Patrick and I just kind of like roped Courtney. We were like, we're gonna make you do this. Just enjoy it.
They do. It's called Tree of Trust on Tuesdays or Wednesdays already, and I was always tuning in, and they'd always be like, "Let's just get Courtney on here and do a Snake Ladies podcast." And so here we are. This is the Snake Ladies podcast.
I love it. Ladies. Does that make me an official Snake Lady? I hope so.
You are now a Snake Lady.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I asked Steven, would it be funny for me to frame a picture of you and just have it in the background as an Easter egg and see if anyone noticed? And he was like, no, that wouldn't be funny. So
I kind of expect it now. I kind of expect you to do it in future
next episodes you'll be there.
That I'll be there.
All right, chat. You let me know that I was right and that's funny, and then be on the lookout next time. And you'll win something. Not much.
Not much. Well, yeah. Maybe something. I don't know.
So Bob, do you have Kent there with you, or is
no? Kent has gone home for the day. He leaves early. He leaves at about 3:45, and he's gone.
He's gone. Mm-hmm. That's Bob's brother, who records all his videos and is also afraid of snakes. So he's really brave for doing it.
Yes, definitely afraid of snakes. Yeah. But he records on a state-of-the-art VHS camcorder from 1983.
So
beautiful.
During COVID, I got into uploading our VHS tapes from like childhood and like digitizing them, quote unquote, until I realized how much space they took up. But it was really fun to like watch all those old videos on the computer and like bring them up again and be able to like see them in a digital form. So how long does that take you to get them from VHS to YouTube format every week or so?
That's the thing. It takes hours. And I don't do it. I pay a service. It's the biggest expense in producing my show is to pay the service to digitize Kent's VHS tapes.
And now do you ship them to that place?
Yes.
Or? Okay.
Priority
so
overnight.
The shipping fees have to be through the roof.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. I have an East Coast company do it. They do a better job.
Okay. On the East Coast. So you overnight it in the opposite direction. Yeah. It has to be here in like 6 hours.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I worked in Walgreens. I worked at Walgreens in high school, and we do VHS, but it takes like weeks. Like people send out their VHS tapes and they'll come back in like a few days and they're like, "Hey, is it ready?" I'm like, this does, like Fujifilm does it, but it takes like weeks. It's forever. I mean, it's intense.
They're VHS tapes or they're digital pictures? Like
VHS.
Now Walgreens does that?
So you can send out like any sort of film, like any old film or VHS tapes, you can send them out. I don't know if they still do it, but they did. You send them out and then it takes like 2-3 weeks for them to bring it back, and they like put it on a CD for you, or they like make the actual, if it's like pictures like film, they'll like print out the pictures, or you can get like a CD copy.
I hope the whole episode is about digitizing old film. That's what we should talk about whole time.
Oh no, there you go. Sorry, my headphones. I missed it. What was funny?
Look.
My headphones went to my phone.
Oh, it's all right. I was just saying. I hope we talk about this the whole time. Digitizing.
Did you? Oh yeah. So, I did want to talk. There's actually some really cool people in the chat. I see Amy's there. She and I are wearing the same shirt. Jen from Highvis, Gina, who a lot of these people have purchased animals from us, and like when they purchase animals from us, they'll be like, okay, I'm planning on doing it the way Bob Bledsoe taught me. Like he does, because you do like target feeding for your snakes. Is that right?
I do target training. Yeah.
Target training for the snakes. And so can you explain what that is?
Yeah. So I have, do I have I should have a target here. So it's basically a food cue for my snakes. And so I show them a target, which is either a ball on a stick. Oh, here's one. It's either a ball on a stick or a little reflector on a stick. And when the snake sees this target, I have a couple snakes that are trained on this one. When they see this target, they know that food is available, and they have to ideally interact with it by just touching it with their nose. And if they do that, they get their food. And snakes learn very quickly what to associate with "I'm about to be fed."
Yeah, they associate me with that right now.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Courtney is that.
So
sometimes it throws my back out dodging them.
Yeah, right. So the idea with my super dwarf reticulated pythons is I was hoping that I could target train them instead of hook training them. So so that they knew that the only time they're getting fed is when they see that target. Otherwise, they're not being fed. That has worked with one. I have two, and it's worked with one. When they see that, it's worked with one and did not work with the other. So they both are very well target trained. They know what to do, but I have one that still will strike at many things. So I had to hook train her also.
Oh, that's super interesting. That is good to know. So we started a Patreon about a month ago, and one of the things in it is we have this big group chat, and there's a lot of people in the group chat sharing different like husbandry suggestions, different ways that they do things, just really interesting stuff. And we have one guy who he uses like a putter, like to golf, you know what I mean? And that's how he opens some of his enclosures when he's got feisty females or something like that.
Instead
and
of
now
a snake hook?
Instead of a snake hook, he has a putter. And we have a hook, but I never use it. I'll open it with like open it like that, or because you see, and I just dodge them.
Yeah.
Steven will feed every like 2 or 3 months, and you can just hear him like It's pretty
funny. The worst ball python bite that I've ever gotten, and you may have gotten it too, is the palm of my hand, because opening its up like this and an adult female tag right there in the palm of your hand, that doesn't feel good. I don't mind if they bite my arm. I could care less. But the palm of your hand does not feel good when you get
it's the fingers for me, because they bleed. They
just start
bleeding.
The first time I got it, it was right here. First time ball python. But it's one of those things, like I think I was so young. I was at a show, and I think I was so young at the time that I just was just like the adrenaline. I was just like, oh, this just happened. So I don't even like remember like any like sort of, it was just like, oh, okay. Like it just happened.
Yeah.
That's what you get for bringing like an 11-year-old to the snake show. So
Yeah.
We have a lot of younger kids come to like the shows, and they want to like hold one or whatever, and they always want to hold the babies, and I'm like, oh, okay, here's the thing.
Those are the biters.
This 3,000 gram girl, I would pay you $1,000 if she bit you. That baby, I will pay you $1,000 if she does not bite you.
Right.
So, but so for us, we have a rainbow boa. We have a couple We have a couple of red-eyed crocodile skinks, and then we have the ball pythons. And I heard that the rainbow boa was going to be feisty and that she was going to be nippy. She is the most chill snake we have.
That's the thing. They have that reputation. And I've heard from people that keep rainbow boas that say, yeah, they're crazy. And a couple others that say, no, they're fine. And I have worked with one in the wild in Surinam that basically was a pet snake right out of the wild.
That's
and
crazy.
we did a snake education for the village, and we had this snake with us, and I handed the snake to a teenager who was very afraid of snakes at the beginning of this education thing. But then she wanted to touch it, and then she kind of wanted to hold it, and then she had it around her neck for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, the whole time.
Nice.
And the snake was just fine, just hanging out around her neck, just like a pet snake, but it was wild caught.
Wow.
Yeah.
So mentioning Surinam, so how long ago were you there?
So that is, by the way, that's South America. For those who don't know, a lot of people don't know where Surinam is. I didn't before I went.
I was going to ask, do you speak Dutch?
No, but they speak English, fortunately.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say, so I was like, do they speak, like, it's right above Brazil, so is Portuguese the, like, most spoken language? So I just Googled it, and it came back Dutch, and I was like, that's not right, I spelled it wrong. Type it again, Suriname, South America, like, official language. It came back Dutch again. I was like, this still isn't right. I watched it about 3 times. Thank you, Chase. I know that Molly forced you to come.
There used to be 3 Guyanas. It was French Guyana, Dutch Guyana, and I guess British Guyana. And now British Guyana is just Guyana. And then we still have French Guyana. And right in the middle, Dutch Guyana has changed their name to Surinam.
Okay.
So
I didn't mean to interrupt, but you said they speak English. That's pretty common.
Yeah. Almost all of them speak English. It's really easy to get around in Surinam because of that.
I'll put that on the list of.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. What was the original question, though?
So we were going to talk about Surinam and when you were there.
You asked when I was there. I just got back a few weeks ago. Maybe it's been a month that I've been back, but I was there for 2 weeks, and then I was there like 7 months ago also. So that was my second trip.
And you went with Amy, and Dave Kaufman. Is that right?
Yep. And Amy Bentley is in the chat right now.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
So
my first trip was. Yeah. So my first trip was it was just Amy Benzie and I, because Amy Benzie coordinates the trips basically. And so the most recent trip, we brought Amy and Dave with us. It was fun.
The inspector in the background. Oh, is that your snake?
Oh, is he out? Oh, he is out. Yeah.
So, and the purpose of the trip was to find a specific snake?
Yeah, let me back up. The first trip, when we went down there, the idea was to find emerald tree boas in this certain area that is very common for hunters and trappers. They will go down this area of the Quarantine River, and any green snake they see, they catch it and put it into the export process. And oftentimes those snakes don't survive the trip. They don't. Little over a month. Thanks, Amy. Amy always knows more than I do about stuff.
Bob's like, we got back 4 days ago, 5 days ago. I don't remember.
I
don't know time. It's okay.
It's not real. Time's not real.
I know. So anyway, the idea was to go down there, go to that area, find as many as we can in that area, take them and bring them deeper into the jungles where it's less common for hunters and trappers to go and release them. So they're in a safer area. So we did that, but we also ended up, there is a middleman in the village before we go into the jungle. The middle, all the snakes from the trappers and hunters, and there's a couple of exporters who come and pick those snakes up from him and pay him for his work, whatever. So we just, he had a bunch there, and we went over to see what snakes he had just to play with snakes. And I said, are any of these, are these all spoken for, or can we buy any of these? And he said, you can buy them if you want. And so we bought all of his snakes and took them with us deeper into the jungle and released them. They had all been wild caught within probably a week or something.
Okay.
And so on this trip, we did that again. We bought a bunch of snakes from him and released them. And we did the same thing with the emerald tree boas. We found some in that area, released them. We found the most exciting thing for me was we found this new species of anaconda that has just been described. They realized that the DNA for the northern green anacondas, the ones in the very north, which is Surinam, are much different than all the rest of the Amazon jungle. So they've now classified them into a separate species. And on our first trip, we found one and it was cool, but this time, that was before we knew it was a different species. So this time, it was more exciting to find. We actually found two because it's the new species.
That's really cool.
Yeah, one of them that we found was a 10-footer. So she was
dang.
Big. It was cool.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
So, wow. So with it being, well, I guess my question is, so it's like a newly discovered species. I mean, it didn't just land here, but like, it's interesting that you found two. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, they're all over the place, and we knew that the anacondas were there. We just didn't realize that they were different. They look identical.
Oh, I see. I understand. Okay.
They're visually, they look exactly the same, and they had never done DNA testing, and because of this. I guess it's probably a Discovery Channel show that or maybe Smithsonian or something that Will Smith is doing, where he goes around the world and does stuff. That crew did DNA.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's a big thing. But so basically, Will Smith's crew, the scientists that are on that crew, ended up doing some DNA testing for some reason, and they realized that it's a very different snake, even though they look exactly the same.
That's super interesting. I know, and I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to mess this up. Is it not hemisphere? So pythons and boas are not found in the wild on the same. What's the opposite?
Hemisphere works.
What? It's the opposite of a hemisphere, right? It's the lateral one? Oh, okay. Steven says I'm stupid and it was a hemisphere.
So. Well, that's what I thought too. But then I was thinking maybe hemisphere is north and south. I don't know. But yes, boas are New World animals. So they live in the Americas, basically. And pythons are Old World. So they're Africa, Asia, Australia.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that like you wouldn't find a boa in Australia and you wouldn't find a python here. Like I didn't realize that. Like I know we have colubrids and I know I never separated it before, so that was interesting.
Yeah.
So how many different species do you keep, Bob?
I keep 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ken's not handing you the answer, or
Amy should tell us. I think
we'll wait. There's a little bit of a delay. Amy, how many animals does Bob have?
I don't know that she can tell you how many animals I have, but I meant species. Yeah. I think I keep 5 species.
Okay.
I've got mostly I got a lot of ball pythons. I've got some super dwarf reticulated pythons, black-headed python, pygmy python, and I have a boa.
Amy confirmed right. You do in fact have 5 species.
Yeah.
And also they're all hemispheres. It doesn't matter the direction. It's just
right.
My bad, guys.
Okay.
Half a sphere.
Hey, I didn't know that either. Yeah.
All right, guys. Sorry about that.
Bob, what's your favorite species?
Cut that out.
That's hard to say. I have always said that if I could only keep one species of the ones that I currently have, it would be a reticulated python, a super dwarf retic.
Okay. I remember the first time I saw a reticulated python, I was like, that is insane. That does not make sense, because it was so big. It was the length of somebody's swimming pool. And I was like, that's too big. Like, what are you doing with that animal? And I've gotten a lot more used to them now, but I don't think, I mean, a super dwarf, that's different, but like for us, I don't think we could ever keep an animal that big. We just, yeah.
It would be fun. I like interacting with them, but I don't want to keep an animal that big. I have small super dwarfs. I have two. They're only 3 years old, so they're not fully grown, but they're smaller localities and bloodlines.
So. All right, Keith, can you do it diagonally? Can we get a diagonally sphere?
Look at Keith is doing this at 1:20 in the morning. It's 1:20 in the morning where Keith is. So I'm impressed.
Yeah, Molly, your hair does look fantastic, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, and Bob, I had to get extra special.
Thanks.
Yeah.
My hair and makeup team just left, so I feel like they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, no, they look great. Yeah. I didn't even recognize them. So when you were in Surinam, you went with Amy Benzie, Amy Bentley, and Dave Kaufman. So did you already know? I know, like I always see Amy Bentley like in your comments and everything. And did you already know Dave?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Amy and Bentley and I were friends before Green Room Pythons, so we've been friends for a while. I knew Amy Benzie obviously because I've known her since before my first trip, and Dave and I have hung out and interacted at different events before. We've filmed together a little bit, just doing funny, silly bits, and so I asked him if he wanted to go.
Okay, and very cool.
He had never seen an emerald tree boa in the wild before, so he was really keen on doing that.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. Yeah, we watched his big documentary that he had put out like 2 years ago in Africa, and that was really cool. That was really fun. Yeah. Just to like, I don't know. So like for me, I always see people go herping or whatever, and I never realized that it was, I guess because of where we live, you don't go herping. You kind of get the herping out of your house, like because the lizards are in your house or the frogs get in your house.
Right.
And so like I never realized that people like specifically went out to find reptiles, because for us it's like it's so rural where we are. It wasn't, I don't know. I didn't realize how exciting it could be for folks that live in a more urban area. But I felt like something like going to find the ball pythons in the wild or going to find emerald tree boas in the wild, because it's that novelty thing. It's that like species that we don't see in the wild. That kind of helped me understand what was so cool about like going to find animals that you don't see every day.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm actually putting together a herping trip for some of my Patreon supporters. That's happening very soon. We're going to Joshua Tree to find all kinds of desert species, rattlesnakes and horned lizards and chuckwallas and stuff.
So I rewatched, this is completely off subject, but because you said Joshua Tree and it reminded me of the desert and reptiles, I rewatched Holes with Shia LaBeouf recently. Have you guys seen that as adults?
I don't know if I've seen it since it came out.
So I saw it as a child and I loved it. We watched it a gazillion times. I read the books. It was one of my favorite movies growing up. Rewatched it as an adult. The spotted yellow lizards, the like poison spitting lizards that are all over them at the end of the movie and that everyone's so afraid of. And they are bearded dragons with yellow painted spots.
Are they really?
It's so funny to go back and watch that movie and see literal like lazy fat bearded dragons just looking around being the scary spotted lizard.
That's so funny.
So good.
Gosh. That's hilarious.
Yeah, Keith is like, he's immediately the one with the painted beardies. It's so funny. You guys have to, if you haven't,
so good.
Just go watch like just some clips from it. Because
when I found that fact out, that's when I went back and rewatched it. When I found that out, that's when I was like, okay, well now I gotta go rewatch it and see. It makes it so much better.
That's so funny.
It's really funny if you didn't expect it and you just get to that scene and you're like, oh my God. I was actually like, I don't want to say like scared of this as a kid, but as a kid, I was like, this is a legitimate animal that I'm looking at. It is an actual spotted lizard.
Yeah.
This is the fear I'm going to have in the desert. Like all the times that like my adult self is going to go to the desert. Like kid me was so afraid. Like,
oh yeah. Quicksand.
This is a real fear. Yeah, I was going to say, has anyone else just been like I thought I was going to have to deal with a lot more quicksand as an adult than like.
We don't deal with quicksand nearly as much as you would think based on all the movies and TV shows,
like
especially
all the
with
media. Yes,
it's especially kids shows, because quicksand is kind of funny, right? Like
yeah.
if you've got a bad guy, all you got to do is have him step in quicksand, and then he's taken care of. You know,
Yeah.
it's really easy.
The Princess Bride, the like exploding quicksand, that was the big fear for me.
Yeah.
We go.
The ROUSs were a little bit worse for me. I didn't like the ROUSs.
ROUSs?
The rodents of unusual size.
Oh.
In Princess Bride.
The stuffed animal possums that
Yeah.
I forgot what they were called.
Yeah.
So one of the like trails that we would take the dogs out, or that we take the kids walking up and down. So we live in horse country, so there's a lot of horse trails. But there's a lot of where it warns you that it's quicksand, because it's a horse place and they don't want the horse, breaking its leg stepping in. But like as a person and you're like walking through quicksand, it's just wet sand. It's you don't go anywhere. And I know there is like real quicksand, but for me it's always like, oh, sorry, I'm walking through quicksand, gotta go.
Like as a kid though, I'm like genuinely afraid that I'm just gonna encounter this someday. Like as in like it's gonna happen. Not if, when I get stuck in quicksand.
Bob's right, it might.
You never know. It depends on where you go. So I want to say, because people have been mentioning it, that the inspector was going crazy back here. That for those of you who know the inspector, he's back on his sort of weird behavior. He's off food again, and he's doing a thing where he's up early and moving around, and like he's moving around till about 11 o'clock in the morning. He's doing weird time stuff. So I'm just letting him out to cruise around up there for a little while. People also have been asking about Pip, who is my pygmy python. So I'm going to pull her out.
Okay.
So you guys can see. Are you guys familiar with pygmy pythons?
I'm not. I was actually, when you mentioned it earlier, I was like sneakily trying to Google that.
This is, you don't have to, I'll just tell you right now. The smallest python species in the world is a pygmy python. They're part of the Antaresia genus, and that's with children's pythons, spotted pythons, Stimson's pythons. But the pygmy is the smallest. And Pip here, I pull her out with a hook just because if I reach in with my big fat fingers, I'll pinch her. So, hang on.
I feel like one of those little kids right now at the like animal shows where they're like, "Here, kids, look at this." But I have this excitement right now. I love it.
It's very exciting. She is super cute and really smart, and very well target trained.
Very cool. So we actually used to supply like rodents for someone who had, now that I see it, thanks, Steven. They used to have one and they were like, hey, what do I feed it? And I was like, I don't know. Tails? I don't know. But
yeah, so when
pinkies?
When they are first born, tails are appropriate. Hold on.
Yeah. So they were like, and I don't want to be gross on here or anything, but so because we were supplying them rodents, she had asked if I'd cut the tails for her, and I was like, no, you can do that.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Yeah.
So Pip is 8 months old, I think, somewhere around 8 months. So when I got her, I've only had her for a couple months, and she came to me at 9 months. And for those of you who aren't ball python people, let me put this into perspective. A baby ball python hatches out of their egg at about 60 to 70 grams, let's say 60 to 75 grams, something like that. Yeah. At 6 months, she was sent to me at 9 grams.
So a worm.
A worm, totally a worm. She weighs 15 grams now. I just weighed her the other day because I was curious.
Sweet.
Nice. You said 19?
15.
Oh, 15. So our smallest ball python we've ever hatched out at 19 grams. So it's crazy that that's even smaller.
That's super tiny for a ball python.
Yeah. So we generally hatch them between 65 and 85 grams, I'd say. Like if mom has laid plenty of times before, if she's like a big girl, she tends to lay closer to 75 to 85 grams. But like first time moms, or sometimes a little bit smaller moms, they'll be I think before the 19 gram, I think the smallest we'd had was like 40 or 50. So that one was just tiny. We put a quarter on top of it and took a picture, and the quarter like covered the snake.
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy.
Everybody's telling them about their teeny tiny little snakes, and I want to see.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of species that are small. Hognoses are about that small when they're little.
Oh,
that was a good
hi,
catch.
Steve.
Having chaos.
You were talking too much about Pip. He got jealous.
What's he doing?
So
he's just pushing everything
like a cat.
He's like, I'll show you how to get attention.
He's doing a weird cat thing. He's
What's that orange cat behavior?
Yeah. So
orange cat behavior.
He occasionally will. His personality will get weird, and it's usually in the breeding season.
I wonder why.
And he is breeding right now, but he didn't do it last year. But he'll do a thing where he will try to battle me. So meaning he'll do the male combat behavior with me.
Okay.
Thinking that I'm the. So, and that's when snakes do, like, they hit their neck against each other. They're not biting each other or anything.
And then they flop over.
But he hasn't done it. It's been a long time, but I will put my arm in there and he'll come up and start doing that. It's pretty crazy. So he is acting weird right now, like he has been the last week or so.
Okay. That's interesting. So we've had, we have a number of snakes. So we don't do that many. We're not as big as Chimera. We don't do that many clutches a year. We have closer to like 15 to 20.
Patrick just got a big head from that. Hold on.
No, the thing is I saw y'all had your first clutch of the season like this week, right?
Yeah, we did.
We're on number 6, so get behind
Patrick.
me. Yeah, Patrick, come on.
Let's just buy clutch. Let's just buy the eggs. We gotta.
Well, I thought you guys already did that.
Oh yeah, yes. Don't get me started on that. Go ahead.
So Bob, you do a little breeding as well, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So somebody said something about the issues you're having with your current ball python clutch. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, just I had a clutch that was kind of a disaster from a female that I had not bred before. It was she has been bred before, but it was the first time I had eggs from her. And I had snakes that turned out with no eyes and cleft mouth that didn't make it. I had a one-eyed snake. I had 2 snakes that were shark jaw. This is one of them. And then I got 2. I got 2 out of, I guess, 6 or 7 that turned out okay. So this is one of my shark jaw babies that I'm trying to get to eat.
Yeah. Oh, it's a beautiful snake though.
Yeah, it's a little freeway.
Yeah, it's my favorite. I love freeways.
So cool.
So for us, we've had, I think we've only had one disaster clutch like that where I think we had 9 eggs. We had 3 that were non-viable outside of the egg, like just too kinked, didn't make it out of the egg. And then we had 1 with a small eye, 1 with no eyes, and 1 that was not viable, but made it a couple assist feeds. But she was like 15, or I think she was like 20 grams, and she had a weird shaped head and things like that. But so for the small eye and the no eye, the snake missing an eye and the snake with the small eye, when we have stuff like that, we usually just find someone that will be like a pet only home, and then we like find a home for them.
That's what I did. All of my snakes are sold to my Patreon supporters. They don't. Okay. My snakes don't go out of Patreon. But for the special needs snakes, those I just give them to Patreon, like whoever wants them. So I had a one-eyed snake that was eating fine and doing great, and I shipped that one off to one of my Patreon supporters. And then Will at CNC Python Factory offered to help with the assist feeding of the shark mouth babies. So I sent one to him, and I kept the other one. So that's helpful.
So to like give them the chance, give them a chance to still have a good life. You're letting them thrive.
Yeah.
But the second time, when you have one that spits out an assist feed, boy, I'm like, I'm saving your life, you piece, you little.
I mean, that's pretty common that
You
they
little
spit out
jerk,
assist
get
feeds.
back in there.
It feels like they're so ungrateful for
I'm
life.
like, yeah,
You're
you little ungrateful.
kidding me
Get
right
that back
now?
in your mouth.
I know. I know. So for this clutch, what I decided is that my assist feeds are going to be assist feeds. I'm not going to go further than just putting it in the back of their mouth, and then because I don't know if they're going to thrive or not. So it took this one that I just showed you spit out the first like 4 or 5 assist feeds that I gave her. She's 2.5 months old at this point, probably, and she's had 2 meals now. She took an assist feed a couple weeks ago, and she took last week's assist feed. So now she's taking them.
So we usually after 1, sometimes after 2, they're good to go. But we had one who I assist fed her for 6 months. And I was like, please just take this rat. Like I've this is like it's time to go to college. Like I'm empty nesting here. Get out of my house. And then like one day she just took, and then she took fine after that, like completely fine. And it's crazy how sometimes like that light just turns on for them. But we had somebody tell us that they feed carnivore care, so it's like a pureed, like kind of like a formula or something that you use a syringe with. So do you use like frozen thawed mice, or what do you use to assist feed?
Yeah, so I use either fuzzy mice or hopper mice. Okay. And I'm just opening their mouth with the nose of the mouse, and you dip it in water. You want to dip it in water. And I also tell people, just because a lot of people are going to watch this, probably don't ever assist feed if your snake has ever taken a meal on their own. If you buy a snake from a breeder and they don't eat for a month, don't assist feed that snake. It will eat when it's comfortable.
So yeah, we only assist feed hatchlings, and they have to have missed. They have to have not eaten for quite a while and start to be like losing, like they've lost their yolk essentially.
Exactly.
Before we'll even assist feed. I hate assist feeding, so this is really great info for Steven. Steven, are you getting all of this? Yeah, okay. Steven is never. One time I was like, Steven, you should really try to assist feed. Do you want to? And he's like, I'll let you do it. And I'm like, okay, great. And I like had the mouse ready to go, and the snake took the mouse. And I was like,
oh, good. That's great.
So
that's great.
Look, Steven, it's so easy. Just do that.
Yeah. See, this is how you assist feed. You just give them the rat and they eat it. But yeah, we don't have to assist feed much. So you talked about your kind of disaster clutch. Do you know what may have caused it? Do you think it was?
I think it was probably an incubator issue, even though when I look at my little Govee history of the temps, the temps in the incubator itself seem to be stable, but there could have been a temp spike within the box. It's also possible. I don't know the history of Kata, the female, and I can't get the breeder to respond to my questions.
Gotcha.
So I don't know.
And do you have a homemade incubator or?
No, I use a sea serpents incubator.
So that's what we have as well, and we have started trying to keep like the eggs away from the glass essentially, because we're wondering if it's like, because we've noticed if we ever have eggs go bad, they tend to be up against that glass. So if we put an egg box in and it has like 2 rows, we'll only fill the row away from the glass on the tub that is like closest to the glass. So
that's smart. Maybe I'll move. I have a clutch in there right now. Maybe I'll move them to the middle of the thing. I only have 1 clutch in there.
So that was kind of just some advice we had gotten recently, because we noticed we had 2 eggs go bad and both of them were in that position. Since we've already had so many clutches this year, Patrick. But
that's a good tip.
So somebody had asked what's in the freeway. I don't know if they're asking about that specific freeway or what a freeway is.
Freeway is the combination of yellow belly and asphalt. It's a simple combination of 2 morphs that look exactly the same. You can't even tell them apart in their individual, and they're also very subtle. It almost looks like a normal ball python individually. You put them together and you get that freeway.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Freeway and Super Asphalt are my favorite combos.
And,
so.
and then when Super Asphalt's amazing. And then when you throw other morphs into the Freeway, this girl's in shed, but you get
Beautiful.
a bunch of crazy stuff. So this is one of the ones that turned out normal. This is a spot nose, orange dream, maybe inchy Freeway.
So Gina in the chat, she bought, and so did Jen. Both bought Asphalt babies from us last year. And I love Asphalt. It's my favorite. I think it's my favorite like gene that there is, especially when it's in like a super form or homozygous form.
I love Asphalt too.
It's one of those things that I guess part of the reason I like it so much is just how subtle it is on its own and how much it brightens up the animal, and it's just something simple and I love it. So we had the ball pythons for a long time, and we had boas. We had just regular boas, not even red tail, but we got the Brazilian rainbow boa, and there's a couple different like morphs of rainbow boa, like albino or caramel, and none of them look as good as just the regular old rainbow boa.
I agree. I've looked at all the rainbow boa morphs, and there's a lot of snakes like that where there's a small handful of morphs, but the coolest looking snake is the normal.
Yeah, and I mean normal ball pythons. I think a lot of people I think somebody sent us pictures recently of snakes that looked of ball pythons that looked the most interesting to them, and they had like they sent over just a handful of pictures because they didn't really know anything as much about the morphs. They're fairly new to it, and in their list was like a normal and a pastel, and they're like, these are just really beautiful. I want one of these.
Yeah. Really interesting, like what people pick out that aren't like in that realm at all. Like
I'm used to seeing them all the time.
Yes, I think one that everyone went crazy for. Like when we were at Tinley, everyone stopped by the table for the Suma that we had out. And like on TikTok, the Suma is the one that like always like it did so well. Like Suma was just like it for people. And I think it's just one of those things, they just don't realize like how much like how different ball pythons can be. That's why I think, I mean, honestly, that's why I love ball pythons so much, is just how much like art you can make, really.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm going to find the inspector. Hang on a second.
No worries.
He wandered off.
So Picture Perfect is in the chat, roasting me a little bit. So we went and visited Corey DeLong of CD Constrictors in February, and we took a tour of his like facility, and he showed off a snake. And when I saw it, I was like, I want that snake. And he's like, too bad, she's a holdback. And we have this whole interview with him saying like, yeah, I think she'd like fetch a pretty penny, but she's a holdback. I'm not selling her. And then like a week before Tinley, or maybe like 2 or 3 weeks before Tinley, he's like, hey, I'm going to list that snake. And I was like, Corey, if you'd sold it to me while I was there, but I got to play a little hard to get, And
play a little hard to get for them.
He brought her to Tinley, and we bought, when before Friday was over, we bought her, and then everybody else who had seen her and was expecting her to be at Tinley and was talking about picking her up was like sending me hate mail. Like, I wanted that snake.
They're like, I can't stand you.
Yeah.
But no, it's so really cool. What I've noticed too of like next week for TikTok, we're doing like a whole series on like snakes under, I forget how much we said, maybe 500, but like different ball pythons that you can get that are still so cool looking, like you just can't go wrong. So we're gonna do a whole series next week, just like every day talking about a snake like under $500, so people can get just as pets. And like how cool some of this stuff is incredible. And like you can really do like you can get some pretty awesome things for
especially now
that much money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. Especially now.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I got the inspector taken care of.
We have a note from Steven.
Oh, Steven threw you something? Great.
Question for all of you. Who are your fav reptile YouTubers and why? Steven didn't think we were doing a good job, guys. Everybody in the chat. So you know what?
maybe that was that question from the chat, or was that from
No,
Steven?
it wasn't, because he would have pulled it up for us to read. No.
That was direct
could've-
hate mail. That was direct hate mail.
No, this is just what Steven would ask if he was here, and he couldn't just comment it, I guess. So for the chat and for the people here, who are your favorite reptile YouTubers and why? Mine is Steven Caps of Leviathan Snakes.
You stole
He's
my
hot.
answer, dang it. What am I supposed to say? My boss?
You were gonna call him hot too?
Not hot, no.
I was going to.
You don't think my husband's hot?
All right, well, guys, it's been a really great episode. We made it to one, and
I'm just
it's been
kidding.
really
I'm
fun,
sorry,
guys.
Mom. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Do I have to say my boss? I think I kind of have to.
There's the only two you know. You have a brother who does it as well.
You know what, you guys? Can I make a amendment to this question? Aside from who you are married to or work with, who's your favorite?
We're related to.
Because related to.
Because Bob was gonna say Steven, and now it's again. No. So yeah, everyone in the chat is saying how hot Steven is, and by everyone I just mean Gerald. So Bob, who is your favorite reptile YouTuber?
The reptile YouTuber that I watch consistently when I see a video comes out, I click on it, is Clint, because I'm a reptile nerd and I love all the phylogeny stuff, and I love learning about, and I'm just an animal nerd, and Clint does a lot of other animal stuff. So I'd say Clint.
Okay. I enjoy watching Chris Eaton a lot. Like he makes me laugh quite a bit. But then I'm gonna go easy with. I'm gonna go Snake Discovery. Love Emily. I love Ed. Love them. And I think the best thing about them for me is like their videos are so useful to me. Not just in a way of like, hey, I'm having this issue and I'm going to watch the Snake Discovery video to figure it out. When somebody comes to us and is like, I have mites, what do I do? Here's a Snake Discovery video. My snake won't eat, what do I do? Here's a Snake Discovery video. How do I learn more about this? Here's a Snake Discovery video. I also, by the way, when people are like, hey, I want to kind of like learn how to do choice-based handling or do like target feeding, I say, here's a Bob Bledsoe video. There you go.
Cool.
But I really like that Snake Discovery
Hey, Courtney,
has...
I noticed that you and Steven both throw an extra T in my name, which is interesting. I don't mind it.
How is it supposed to be pronounced?
It gives it a little extra pizzazz.
It does.
I wouldn't say anything. I just.
What was it?
It's just Bledsoe.
What am I saying?
I'm saying
Bledsoe.
Bledsoe.
I noticed
See,
in your
Bledsoe. You say it. Say it one more time.
Bledsoe.
Bledsoe.
Oh,
Bledsoe.
Bledsoe.
And I say Bledsoe. Okay, my bad.
Yeah. And
sorry,
no, it's
guys.
okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. But I want to say, because it was funny in the video that you guys put out today, the little promo thing that Steven said Bob Bledsoe, and the words, what do you call it? The auto thing.
Turn it off, Steven. We got to get off the air. I'm so embarrassed.
BLED STOW. BLEDSTOW.
He spelled it like that?
I assume it was an auto spelled thing.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh my God. You should, I'm going to make a shirt that says, I interviewed Bob Bledsoe.
Yeah.
That's so
Steven throws T's around like nobody I've ever met. He'll be like across or like anything that ends with two S's, he throws a T in there.
I
So
don't mind it. I just think it's funny.
We're getting a lot of Wicked, Snake Discovery, Green Room, Clint, Bob Bledsoe.
Bob B. Great.
Bob B. Sorry. Molly, who's your favorite reptile YouTube channel?
I know we said not who we're related to or who our bosses are, but really, I can't tell you that Chimera is not going to be my answer, but I do have to say I can't tell you how much I enjoy actually watching Late to the Mic. Like, it's not just for my job. Like Late to the Mic has been so fun. Like, even before I started working for Patrick, I was watching it every single week.
Yeah, you were getting roasted in them too, though.
That's true.
Roasted,
adored, everything.
Adored, yeah. Worshipped. I don't know.
Worshipped. One of those.
Yeah, where is Troy tonight?
but honestly, Late to the Mic has been like so fun to watch, and them growing, and like you said, snake discovery. And I think snake discovery is just so good for the industry as a whole and everything. Just the educational part of it, and then getting that audience, like getting that reach of people who really don't have an understanding of reptiles. Getting that. I mean, it's really awesome what they do. So for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Late to the Mic, you just they're right there for me. Gotta get
Steven's next question is, who is your least favorite reptile YouTuber?
Chimera Reptiles.
I'm just kidding. That's not what it says. But Bob, so he has a question on here that I was going to ask anyway. Could you talk a little bit about he used the word journey. I'm not a big fan of the word journey in this, but
you know what? Hold on. Let's have Steven come pop his head in and say his question. Since he's using the word journey and you don't like it, I think Steven should use the word journey himself.
All right, Steven, come use the word journey yourself.
Plus, we want to see how hot he is.
All right.
All right.
I can't hear anybody.
You're over there.
I'm over here. All right. So, good evening, Mr. Bob Bledsoe and Molly. But
this isn't your show. Come on.
You're right. All right. I'm hurrying. So what has been your journey of getting into reptiles all the way up to the point that you're in now?
Oh, that's a good question.
Now go back.
All right. Thanks, Steven.
He can't hear you, so
yeah. No, I know. I love that he popped his face in. I was, it's a boring story because it's just like everybody else. I had reptiles when I was a kid and I've always liked them, but I've also always like soaked up as much knowledge as I could. And even during periods of my life where I didn't have reptiles or didn't have many reptiles, I still was soaking up knowledge and because I'm just interested in them. And then COVID hit and I decided that I would start breeding and start a YouTube channel. I've been wanting to do a YouTube channel and wasn't sure what I was going to do it on. And it just kind of hit me one day that this is probably the thing to do. So I did it.
But so what year did you start your YouTube channel, your reptile YouTube channel?
I'm in year 3.
And so
21.
So in 3 years, you've amassed about, 60,000, 59,000 followers?
Yeah, we're just about to kiss 60,000, I think.
That's
close.
exciting. Are you like, when did it really start gaining traction for you? Was it right away? Has it been a slow, slow, but like a steady climb, or?
It did pretty well from the beginning, which was nice. I mean, it was a nice steady climb with no viral videos or anything that launched it. Yeah. But really, I got a lot of traction. I did the snake discovery build off last year and got a lot of followers from that, a lot of subscribers from that. And so that gave it a nice bump. And then it's just been, it was like a nice steady growth, big bump from snake discovery, nice steady growth, so.
No, I think, so we started our channel about the same time, and we have a little over 5,000 followers. Our audience is specifically breeders. And so we're really stoked for 5,000 followers, but so excited for you. Cause I remember, I think one of our first Instagram lives that we did before we even had the YouTube channel was with you.
That's right.
And that's before reels were a thing. And so it was just the regular square, YouTube thing. And it was just great to chat with you and talk about snakes and talk about, I think, because you act as well. Is that right? And is it, I know you do comedy. Would you do stand-up, or is it?
I do. Well, yes and no. My background is stand-up comedy, and I used to tour comedy clubs and colleges and stuff. And now I tour just festivals. I do Renaissance festivals and pirate festivals and stuff. I wrote an in-character show specific for those festivals, where it's basically stand-up comedy, but in character. It's nothing that I would ever do at a comedy club, but it's that. And then I juggle flaming battle axes, and I have these chainsaw blades that I set on fire and juggle those.
I juggle men.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
I just want to make Steven laugh.
Bob, you were so very interesting. Like, I just want to hear about your whole life. Like, you started, you're like, yeah, there's also like chainsaws and like, there's like all this. I'm like, oh my God.
So yeah, Bob,
I just light dangerous stuff on fire and juggle them in this comedy show that I do at Renaissance fairs. It's very silly. I wear a kilt all weekend. Yeah. Last weekend, I was wearing a kilt and I got to march around and be loud.
And you weren't, that wasn't in Fairdale, Georgia, was it? You were out here in Atlanta?
No, I wasn't.
Because there's a Renaissance festival in Atlanta that we were at last weekend.
Oh, nice. Yeah, there's a lot of them going on right now. This one was in Central California.
So I know that group, they were, I think before Georgia, they were in like Arizona. So they go like all over the place. I didn't know if you ever traveled for it. So do you perform or do you just partake?
No, I have a stage show. I have a
okay. Comedy. Oh, so you actually, okay. I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I thought you were just out in the crowd juggling fire.
No. It's a full stage show. So if you go to the festival, I'm on one of the stages doing an act. It's
some guy. They're like
stand-up comedy, but then it evolves into juggling silly, ridiculous, dangerous stuff.
So Molly, have you ever been to a Renaissance festival?
No, but I can't tell you how bad I want to go to one.
They're a lot of fun.
I feel like it's booming. Like I feel like it's becoming way more popular. And
after COVID, I think people had to go so long without it that like right after COVID, you couldn't move when you went. So Molly, if you ever go to one, get there right as it opens because that's the best time to be there, honestly.
When we go to one, Courtney, can you and I go to one together? Can we dress as wenches? I really want
honestly, there's one, we asked Chase if he wanted to get dinner while we were down there and he said, "Who is this?" And he hung up.
Yeah, I heard he told me, he was like, I just got the weirdest call from this random person. And so he was really nervous. So I can't believe you did that to him.
Mm-hmm. Steven thinks he's dreamy. So maybe he was just babbling. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so no, we love Renaissance festivals. They're a lot of fun. And it's really cool that you perform at one.
They were, before COVID hit, I was doing about 25 weekends a year of Renaissance festivals. And the reason I was doing those, when you're a touring stand-up comic doing comedy clubs, you're performing Thursday through Sunday at the club, and then you're getting in your car and driving to the next club. And I prefer being in LA so that I can get acting work and writing work and whatever in TV and film if it comes. And I didn't really like being a touring comic, but these festivals generally are Saturday, Sunday, then you go back home. Mm-hmm. So I can run up, do a festival and go back home. So I was doing about 25 festivals or 25 weekends a year of festivals, like half the weekends out of the year I was doing shows. And then COVID hit and all the festivals canceled. So I started this YouTube channel. And as the channel did better, I could drop these shows. I didn't have to come back to doing these shows. And so over the last few years, the festivals have come back, but I've dropped the smaller ones. And now I'm down to, I'm only going to do 2 more festivals this year. It's still 8 weekends worth of work, but it's not nearly what I was doing before.
So do you think that, and I've thought about this, about the snake industry too, because of how well, it did with COVID, like things were booming and, do you think people just did a lot of soul searching? They were like, this is what I want to do with myself. Like Renaissance fairs. Like I said, I feel like it blew up after COVID. And then snakes, do you think there was just like that soul searching that someone was like, I found my passion now? They're like,
I think some people did. I think some people used it in a positive way for themselves, but we also know of all the stories of people who just got depressed and sat on their couch during all of COVID, which is really unfortunate. But I think for a lot of people, they were like, I'm going to, for me, I went, look, I've been too busy to do anything because I'm always either on the road or planning to go on the road. And now I'm not. So I'm going to jump on this opportunity of, having to be home now for a while. So I started breeding and took the time to learn, figure out what I was doing and start this YouTube channel,
Definitely made the best of it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks. I tried to.
So, people are making YouTube channels like all the time. Do you see any common mistakes that you would see with new reptile YouTube?
Patrick, get a notepad out. Let's start writing down.
Well, a few things. The biggest mistake that anybody who wants to do a YouTube channel makes is they don't do anything. they go, oh, I got to learn this first. I got to figure out how to do this. I need this camera first. And no, you don't. Just turn on your phone and start recording videos, and you will learn. But aside from that, to your specific question, you know, I would say is there's a short attention span situation with people watching YouTube. And I have long videos, and I realize I have long videos, and that does not mesh well with the short attention span. But my videos are about 20 minutes usually, and I'm just going to keep doing them like that. But that being said, you'll see a lot of jump cuts in my videos, because anytime a lot of the ums will be cut out, anytime I take a second to think for a minute, I'll cut those out. Because you got to just keep going. So I see a lot of people on YouTube go, hey guys, welcome to Green Room Pythons. And
you could just say my name, Bob.
Talk about Courtney, you don't do that. I think you're
no, Steven cuts them all out.
Oh, really? Good. Well,
Steven has his work cut out for him.
Steven's great at editing. So, I got to tell you though, Courtney, you do really funny stuff. You're great on camera, and
I know.
And you and Steven do really funny stuff. I've seen great stuff from you.
So the problem with us, for Steven, he finds that he says like too much. And for me, when I pause and start a new sentence, and I'm going to start thinking about it now, so I wish I hadn't even brought this up, but I go all the time. Like, oh, and I watch it back and I'm like, oh, I hate that so much.
It's good to recognize that though, right? I mean,
no, because I don't notice when I'm doing it.
Yeah, but you will. Once you see it enough. I mean, for me, I annoyed myself enough that I was like, all right, I'm going to stop doing this. You know, I start so many sentences with, okay, guys, hey guys, so guys.
I do that. I do guys. That's what I do when I'm recording my voiceovers. I do guys too much.
It's annoying to me. And then a friend of mine who I really respect, his name's Polly, and he's a brilliant artist, was telling me that his pet peeve with watching YouTube videos is when YouTubers say guys all the time. And I was like, Polly, I do that. I say guys all the time. And it just reinforced to not do that. I just annoyed myself enough with it that I don't do it as much. And then I still cut it out a lot when I do it. And you'll still hear it probably 10 times in my videos.
Future Bob does the editing. That's funny.
Future Bob does the editing. That's right.
So you'd recommend that when people start a YouTube channel to like focus on it, not essentially give up on it, and to like just kind of pull the
so be consistent. You know, do a video a week or a video every 2 weeks, whatever it is. Just be consistent so that you're committed to it. And then it's all about just keeping the viewer's attention. So know what you're going to say, get it out, move to the next thing. Edit, you know, in your editing, when you're editing, you can cut stuff out, but also just in your speech, when you're talking, edit yourself to the point, you know, just get to that point of what you're trying to say, and then move on to the next thing.
Okay. So that was another great question that I thought of all by myself. So now that we're done with that.
Wait, was that one that he just threw you and you just tossed it?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, that was on the first list that he threw me. So, Bob, when you were starting at the beginning of COVID, who were your mentors and influences?
Oh, I was watching all the channels. You know, I was watching a lot of breeder channels. I was watching. I like Rob from Royal Balls. I watched his stuff a lot. I watched Balls to You. That's Gavin in the UK. I was watching Justin and Garrick DeMeyer, all these breeding ones.
Oh, I love Garrick.
But then also I was watching just regular reptile YouTube stuff, Wickens and Clint and Dave Kaufman, you know.
So, I think one that I found pretty early on was Go Herping. And I know he quit doing it and stuff like that. He had some that some that were really interesting and taught you a lot. He has one video that I particularly don't like. I feel like it was a little too clickbaity of a title, and we've had issues because of it. And he had a snake that went a year without eating, and the snake was fine, no hate on him for that happening, but he like titled the YouTube video, "My snake went a year without eating," like, and it's no big deal, the snake's doing fine, like, y'all quit being mad at me. So we've had people like reach out to us and be like, "Hey, that snake you sold us isn't eating, like, what should we do? We're starting to get worried." And you're like, "Okay, yeah, could you remind me who you are? Like, when did you buy it?" And they're like, "We bought it in October of last year." And they're like, "Okay, and when did it stop eating?" And it's like, "Whenever the last time you guys fed it. They haven't eaten for us the whole time." And you're like,
Oh
my gosh. It's been that was like not even a year old snake, and it's been almost a year. Why are you just now reaching out? And they're like, "Well, I Googled it, and I saw this guy said that snakes can go a year without eating."
Oh my gosh.
And you're like, "Oh my God." Like, I get what he was trying to do, but that one, I wish it was a little more, I wish that one was a little more clear, that was like a very much adult snake that had been, I don't know. That one gets me. But he did have like a really cool, like, when I first started watching him, he had a really cool like boa video where they picked up a boa from like an old high school or something, and it hadn't been on like heat or anything, and just kind of getting her from being super bitey and defensive to like a very like easygoing boa. So
yeah. Somebody that one. So that's a good question. Somebody just asked me that in my last live stream, and I was trying to think. My answer was, because there's tons of animals that I want, but what could I reasonably keep? Like I could say, a Boelen's python, but I can reasonably keep a Boelen's python. I don't have the room for that large of a snake here, but I love rough scale pythons, and I don't have a rough scale python, and I would like one. I will, I'm sure, have a rough scale at some point. That's pretty amazing.
I didn't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Rough scale python. Let me tell you about the rough scale python. I won't take long, but it's a great story. This is an Australian snake. It's basically looks kind of like a green tree python, except it's not green. It's just brown. And yeah, right. It's just a brown snake. But here's what's cool about them. First of all, they have great big piercing blue eyes, like the color of Molly's shirt almost. Maybe that's an exaggeration.
Eyes.
Oh, maybe Molly's eyes. Maybe it's closer to Molly's eyes. Okay. But piercing blue eyes, really beautiful. But they were just discovered in this small area of the Kimberley region of Australia, like in 1991. They were discovered. Nobody knew that they were there because they only live in this little region. And they have extra long teeth, like super long. And
okay, I don't like that description.
And they were and green tree pythons have very long teeth also, but these have a little bit longer teeth. And they were thinking, they must be grabbing birds. That's why they got to get through the feathers. But then they discovered that there is a rat or I don't know if it's a rat, but it's some sort of rodent that also only lives in that Kimberley region that has adapted to, if something grabs it, it will slough that part of skin off.
That's
pretty gross. I know, pretty gross. But this is what they've realized is that this is an evolutionary arms race between this rodent and the rough scale python to develop skin that just sloughs off and grows back. And so the rough scale has to grow longer teeth to get through the skin directly into the body so they can hold on to the thing. It's fascinating.
Yuck.
That is so cool. That's insane.
So here's the other thing. Let's go back to Surinam really quick. When everybody talks about the emerald tree boa, they have super long teeth. The longest teeth of any non-venomous snake is the emerald tree boa. And everybody speculates that it's because they're grabbing birds out of trees. They live in trees. They must be grabbing a bird as it flies by. That's not a thing that Like that would be really hard to do. If they're grabbing birds at all, it's probably a roosting bird, but it's still pretty difficult to do. When you're out there and seeing where they are, the snakes are at this level, the roosting birds are way up here or way down here. They're not at the same level.
Mm-hmm.
But there are these arboreal rats that are running all over the place. And one of the exporters that we know told us on my last trip, the trip before this one, that the stomach contents of these emeralds are usually these arboreal rats. He says occasionally they find iguana, occasionally they find birds, but it's mostly the arboreal rat. And he says that the rat has skin that sloughs off.
Stop it. Oh my God. I thought we were moving away from that.
So it's convergent evolution.
Can't get away from the skin, Courtney.
An emerald tree boa and a green tree python have convergent evolution in that they look almost exactly like one another and behave the same way. But this is convergent evolution with, you got a snake that's grabbing you all the time. You're going to develop something. This is a completely different rodent. So we got one. And it's in my last video. I think it's in my most recent Surinam video where we got one. And Amy Benzie demonstrated. Amy Benzie won't even touch the rats that she feeds to her snakes. She makes her husband do it. But for this, she demonstrated how easy it is to tear their skin. We had a dead one, and she just ripped the skin off super easy. And so it's just fascinating. It's gross, but it's fascinating, the convergent evolution of these rodents that are completely different species on different ends of the earth, and these snakes that are different species on different ends of the earth. So
that is really fascinating. It's very similar to like a tail falling off and squirming around a little bit.
Exactly.
It's just I know about the tail falling off, and it makes sense to me. And I've never heard of their skin sloughing off. That's such a disgusting and having extra. I don't know if you know this about me. I hate teeth. I hate descriptions of teeth.
Oh,
Thanks,
really?
Steven.
So weird.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it because I will throw up. But
oh my gosh.
The idea of long teeth. Okay, we can move on.
How are you a dentist?
Actually, I have to talk to the dentist beforehand, and I have let my dentist know that I don't want to see x-rays of my teeth. I don't want to see pictures of my teeth, anything like that. So they just explain it to me. I get gas, and we're good. Yeah.
What if you accidentally smile in the mirror? Does it freak you out?
No, okay, so that's fine. So it is not necessarily teeth; it is teeth roots, and that's all I'm going to say, guys.
Okay, all right.
Because I'm already getting like nauseous. Okay, so yeah, as Rose says, gross but so metal. Now, do these rodents, these skin dropping rodents, have like a specific name?
I don't know what they're called. I don't know what they're called. In Surinam, I'm sure they have a name for them, but it would be different than whatever the scientific name is for them. And I don't know what they are in the Kimberley region of Australia either. But the other thing about rough scale pythons that's cool is they have keeled scales. That's why they're called a rough scale python. They're super rough, and they're just an awesome snake, and I want one. I just love the story of them that they were just discovered in 1991. The first one they actually caught was on a TV show. So you can find the footage on YouTube back in 91 or 92 of the first one that they actually got their hands on and brought out and was like, here's one. And so they caught a few of them and sent them to zoos to start procreating. And so they had breeding programs in the zoos. And then we exported some before exports shut down. And so now we have them in the United States, and we're breeding them, and you can have them as a pet. And I want one.
So
amazing.
So one that I want, but I don't think I would ever want to breed. I'll have to hit up Reggie from Reggie's Urban Jungle for this, but I would love an elephant trunk snake. Those are really cool.
They're so weird.
They're so funny.
They're so
weird.
I
thought Molly was laughing at me. I think they're so interesting and so cool.
So weird looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would just have one to keep. So
yeah, because it's basically a fish tank, right? Like you gotta have it in water, and yeah, they're so cool. They're really cool.
There was actually a couple at one of the local shows recently, and somebody that we know who had purchased from us in the past, she bought one. So that was pretty cool to see, and I hope hers is doing well, and maybe in the future, if we're ready to bring in a new species, that might be one we bring in. But I don't have any interest in breeding, just keeping.
Yeah, yeah.
Those.
I saw one, my first one that I saw live in person at a show recently too. They're cool.
They're really cool.
Awesome.
But yeah, so we have mostly snakes, and then we have the red-eyed crocodile skink. Steven has wanted those skinks for a long time, and I was always kind of like, I always thought they were big. I didn't realize how small they are.
Yeah, they're little guys.
So we've got two. I don't even think up by the Partho sign that we keep.
Do
in
you have them in
they're-
breeding pairs?
So they're social animals, and like you got to keep them either like at least two females or a male and a female. So we do have a breeding, well, not a breeding pair, but we do have a male and female. They're juveniles, so they're not going to be ready to breed, hopefully, until we learn a bit more about them. But they only have one ovary, so they only lay one egg at a time, and it takes like, I want to say like 80 days for that egg to hatch. So, you know, it's not something that we would incubate it. We'd just let them maternally incubate. So it'll be a while before they're ready to breed, and they're in bioactive right now. So honestly, they might lay an egg up there and we don't even know until there's a little baby. They do, they care for their young. So like the babies will ride on the mom's head or stuff like that. So
Cool.
we'll keep an eye out for them, but it'll be a while before we have any, babies.
Yeah, that's cool. Those lizards are so cool looking. They're one of my favorites.
Oh, Molly, do you have an off track with Molly question?
Off track with Molly. I'm so excited we get to do this. This is incredible.
I'm excited for it too. I don't know what it is, but I'm very excited.
I'll give you one question because we've been here for a while. So I'll do one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Let's see. What is your favorite? You said you're out in LA, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite restaurant in LA?
That's a good question because I don't go to fine dining restaurants, but let me think of my favorite Indian restaurant closed down, so I can't even say that one. That would have been my answer because I love Indian food. Oh, I know what it is. I can tell you there's a new pizza joint that just opened up down the street. It's got some of the best pizza I've ever had in my life. And I've had both New York and Chicago pizza. And it's like 2 blocks away from me. And it's called something. I can't remember. I'll say it if I remember the name. It just opened up and I've eaten there 3 times probably.
Oh my gosh.
It's fantastic.
So I have a question. If somebody, here's my off track with Courtney because I'm stealing it because I'm sorry, but if somebody gave you $10,000 and was like, hide this $10,000 for, like 72 hours. And if at the end, nobody is able to find it, nobody who could like I'm talking like FBI search, find it. How would you hide it? And where?
I would dig a hole in the middle of the night somewhere. I'd go out somewhere random, dig a hole, bury that.
Would you be able to find it at the end?
Yeah. I'm an outdoorsman.
Would you bring your phone with you? They could track your GPS.
I would not bring my phone with me. That's a great point. But the whole time I would be acting like it was hidden in my house somewhere.
Oh,
I would act nervous. Like when they come over, I'd be like acting nervous and whatever. But it would be far away.
What about the low jack I have on your car? Will you remove that?
I'm gonna rent a car.
Thank you, Chase.
I'm gonna rent a car.
But then,
but then they have the records.
But then they have the records of your rental.
As long as they didn't follow my rental car.
No, I'm just teasing. I think that was like a question that I had a friend ask me one time, and I was like, "Why? Do you need me to hide something?"
Here's my second answer, though. I would hide it in my black-headed python's cage. Yeah. Because anybody.
Oh yeah, because they're not going to search there.
They're not getting in
There's
there.
a good chance they wouldn't try, but if they did, there's a good chance that she would go after their hand, and they'd be out of there real quick before finding it.
So thank you, Chase. That is our first ever super chat on this. Well, I want to say this channel, but on the Partho show. We appreciate that very much.
And such a nice compliment.
And the compliment. Yeah. Gerald says he'll hide my money for me, so I'll just export
nice.
it to Canada, because I sent Gerald a t-shirt or like patches and a t-shirt, and I had to fill out a customs form. I'm sure $10,000 in cash will be.
That'll go over well.
Oh, thanks, Jen.
Jen's so nice.
She
love
is.
Jen.
She's sweet. Oh, and so I will say we were hoping to keep this at about an hour, so I think we're probably going to start wrapping up here shortly. But I do want to plug a couple things. Number one, I want to plug Bob's channel, Bob Bledsoe. Everybody here, Bledstoe, Bob Bledsoe.
STOW.
TOW. So, sorry, Jill made me laugh in the comments. Sorry, I'm reading the chats now. So please go to Bob's YouTube channel, Green Room Pythons. Give him a follow. He's on Instagram as well, and he has absolutely fantastic content. I'm pretty sure most of the people in the chat are already coming from his channel, but if you have not followed him already, please go follow him. Molly from Chimera. There we go. This way. Go ahead and give them a follow as well. That's not as important because she's not on it quite as often, but we do want to make sure the social media manager, But if it was just you, I'd be like, follow them immediately. But that gives Patrick a bigger and bigger head.
Yeah, I
he
know.
was
we
like,
can't support Patrick, but please support me.
Patrick was like, oh, let's do this Partho thing so that I can have my Wednesday nights free. And number one, he went live tonight. And number two, he's been nothing but trash talking in the comments. So what is this?
But yeah,
he's just jealous because he's not our first guest.
Can I ask a question about this?
Yes.
If I were to find Chimera on YouTube, I would put in the word Chimera and I would get so many things.
Chimera reptiles.
That's it. That's what you got to say.
Which I think you might still get a lot of other searches because,
yeah. Yeah, because
we are
because that's a cool thing.
Reptiles on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everything.
Bob, do you have a TikTok?
Oh yeah, TikTok.
Oh yeah, so follow Bob on TikTok
and Instagram.
Thank you guys all for all the super chats. Gina, thank you. GSXR Therapy. I had to make sure I got all of those right. What morph, Bob, can you not wait to get?
Well, there are other species that I want. Right now, I have more morphs than I need for the space that I have. So I'm working with Clown and Pied, and I might have my first Sunset Clutch this year.
And that's exciting.
I've got a bunch of and Ultramel, and then I've got a ton of incomplete dominant morphs. So I don't think I need to jump into any morph projects for ball pythons, but probably other species I might branch into because I like working with these other species.
Bob, do you like that Courtney could say the long name, but she can't say Bledsoe correctly, but she can get all those letters in correctly? How does that
well, he doesn't have enough letters. I'm adding some in. Just one other question. Tracy asks, are you planning on a trip anytime soon to come to the Northeast and visit Nerd? I think Gina would like that as well. And thank you so much, Legacy. We are very happy to have you here.
I am not currently planning a trip. However, I do really want to go and see Nerd. And so I'm sure I will, but I have a number of trips planned for this year already. And Nerd is not in the cards for this year, but I do want to go. Hi, Des. Good to see you.
Oh, I think Courtney got muted.
No, I know. I was talking to Steven. Thank you, DSUMASUKU.
No, don't even try and say it. I just call him Des. I just say Des.
Thank you, Des. We appreciate that super chat. I was trying to tell Steven to highlight a specific comment, but he didn't do it. So somebody commented a ton of letters. JKMMMKKMMX. That was from Keith. So those are all the letters I'm going to start adding into Bob's name going forward. Thank you, Keith.
Perfect. Look, it's what almost 2:30 in the morning for Keith, and maybe he's drunk. Maybe he just fell
Probably.
on his keyboard. He might have just passed out on his keyboard.
So that was a question I had because people are starting to talk about shows. Bob, do you go to reptile shows? And if so, what is your favorite?
Yeah, I have videos from Pomona that I do. I do a lot of the California ones. I've been doing a thing at these reptile shows lately where I bring my snake babysitter. When I'm gone for more than 5 days at a time, I have my snake babysitter, Lucy, comes in and changes waters and such. And she has been going to the reptile shows with me, and we play reptile show bingo. And we just randomly come up with situations, or some of the things are reptiles, but a lot of the things are just weird scenarios, like find a guy with a beard longer than mine. If Lucy gets bit by something, just different things. And we've been going to Pomona together, and those have been popular. But I believe I'm going to Tenley with Amy Bentley, right? Oh, I was going to highlight that
in
comment,
October?
And I can't. There you go. Yeah, so Amy and I believe, are going to Tenley in October. And if you ask her nicely, maybe she'll do her makeup like she is.
I hope
all
so.
made up
I just assumed she did that all the
thing.
time because it looks fantastic.
Amy is a belly dancer at Renaissance festivals, and she is fantastic. Her group is great.
Love that.
Thank you so much, Erica. I'm glad you had a lot of fun.
Erica's great. Erica's going herping with us in Joshua Tree with my Patreon group. Yeah,
awesome.
We're gonna have a good time.
So cool.
All right. Well, again, I'm gonna sorry, I got a little off track because I was again having such a good time. You've been such an awesome guest.
Great.
So thank you all so much for joining the very first episode of Partho. We're going to be doing this once a month. The plan right now is the last Wednesday of the month. I believe our next guests are going to be Katrina and Ro from Inked Lady Morphs. And if you don't follow them, they do a lot of really fun, funny skits on Instagram. And I'll talk more about them in the future because tonight's Bob's night. And again, if you don't follow Bob already, go to TikTok, go to Instagram, go to YouTube, Patreon, OnlyFans.
Not OnlyFans yet, but I'm formulating some ideas.
Keep an eye out for the OnlyFans. And same, obviously if you're on our side, follow Chimera. If you're on Chimera's side, come follow me. All right.
Yeah.
I need to get some followers over here. Steven has too big of a head thinking they're all for him. But we really appreciate everyone who has come out. Definitely leave some, comments, chats. Let us know what you'd like to see in the future. We want to make this a lot of fun for you guys. We want to make this something folks look forward to every month.
Yeah.
This was Bob, really fun. Thanks for having me. This was a blast.
Yeah, thank you. And everyone, if you don't have anything else, you can head over to Chris Eaton's channel. He is interviewing Sean Bradley tonight. So I believe that started at 9. So if you guys want to head on over there and give him a view, tell him we sent you. All right, guys. Everybody have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.